Yep. It's about that time. We're going to start nice and slow today.
From human cargo to genetic annihilation, physical bondage to mental slavery.
Listen, I know them tuna. I'm here alone of them tuna.
Minimum revolution, oppression, suppression, the big ones, physical displacement, cultural abandonment, wholesale crisis for many million children, mental brainwash dilute for progression, anti-reformation, colonial creation, spiritual prostitution, social delusion, confusion, illusions of freedom, independence from the scars, history is carved.
Yeah, smooth and nice. Yeah. All right, that's shut up. I can't play out the whole of the lady tune. I don't know if I can buy that if I don't want that. All right, that's actually a track for my guest tonight. Welcome to the Evening People Show, everybody. If this is your first time joining the Evening People Show, welcome, welcome, welcome. On this show, we meet people. Well, I meet people. Well, you meet them too because you're here with me, aren't you? We meet old friends, we meet new friends, we chit chat, we laugh, we interview folks, find out what's been going on with them and so on. We usually read some poetry. The poetry typically comes from my book, which is behind me. I always get this wrong, which is behind me there. It's called Love, Life, Confrontation, Expressions, Selections from the Chronicles of a Black Man. It's a book of poetry. Can be had in Jamaica, in Fontana Pharmacy locations, and worldwide on Amazon.com. Now, my guest tonight is, what should I say? She's so talented. I'm very excited to have her on the show. I'm sure we're going to have a good time catching up today. Michelle Johnson, big up yourself, my dear, joining via YouTube. For the YouTube people, the people will be checking in today via YouTube. Bless up on yourself, now YouTube peoples. Make sure you like and share and subscribe so we can build up the thing, right? Now, my guest tonight is Lenea the Goddess. Lenea the Goddess. Now, I cannot wait to ask this lady how she come by for the name Lenea the Goddess. I'm sure y'all want to know too, but she's very, very talented. She is a singer-songwriter. She's a musician. She's a published author. I have her book here somewhere. She's a published author. She is a mystic. Let that sink in, as they say. Let that sink in, right? She's a mystic. She is the founder of a few things. One of them I should have asked her how to pronounce properly before I get live, so I can't ask her now. We're going to have her tell you about that. Well, she's a founder of the Goddess Art Temple. She's a founder of the Temple Academies. She has been the opening act for notable artists like John Holt, Gregory Isaac, Coco T, Yami Bolo, and she's performed music on the spoken word on all over the world. You know, from a little gathering of like minds to major festivals and theater productions. Very, very talented. Flemodan, big up yourself, my friend. But without further ado, without any further dilly-dallying, I'm going to invite the lovely Lenea, the Goddess.
Greetings. Can you hear me?
It's so interesting to me, though, right out the gate, how apart from how dynamic you are with your abilities, how dynamic your appearance is. How you can,
really?
Yeah, how you can switch it up. You can switch it. I think because the last time I saw you in person. You had dreadlocks. Did you have dreadlocks? I felt like you had dreadlocks.
I don't think I had dreadlocks the last time you saw me, but I do usually have dreadlocks. Usually people are
And
like,
you go through this. You go through this almost wave of looks. You see you this way, you look one way. You see another day, you look another way. But
that's a fact.
it is lovely to have you, though, and I'm gonna jump right in if you don't mind.
That's fine.
Now, the name Lenea, the goddess, is not what's on your birth certificate. I don't think.
No, it
In
isn't.
fact, Lenea Heru is actually not the name on your birth certificate either. Now, when did Lenea Heru, or even Lenea Sims, become Lenea Heru? When did Lenea Heru become Lenea the goddess? Like, what inspired the name? What does it mean?
Oh, well, thank you so much. And I'd like to say thank you so much also for having me here. And yeah, it's funny because some people watching this, especially in the playback, they don't know of Lenea Sims. They'll be like, well, who's that? But my birth name is Lenea Sims. Okay. And then when I was like 19 years old, I can just say that I was ancestrally guided to change my surname. And over a period of time, like a series of events that happened following that over about 15 years, I came to understand why I was guided to change my surname. So I've been Lenea Heru since 19. And Heru is actually the name that my daughter carries as a surname. That's her. She has a double barrel surname, her father and me. So she's the first birth Heru, you know?
Okay.
And so Lenea Heru is just actually my name. And I actually forget sometimes that my name was Lenea Sims. And it's when I see someone from like...
No, somebody know you a long time. Somebody know you a long time, know that.
If I go in the Instagram DM and I see Miss Sims, I know that's someone from Manchester, like where I grew up. But Lenea Heru's kind of been with me. And I've used Lenea Heru artistically for years. I have lots of work underneath it. But you know, sometimes you start to feel stagnant. And a few years ago, I just felt aware that I would have to evolve as I start my next chapter creatively. And so my name is still Lenea Heru. I don't want to give the impression that I want people to call me Lenea the Goddess. Lenea the Goddess is simply the title for my artistic expression. Do you see what I mean? So as a teacher, I can't introduce myself to people as Lenea the Goddess. So I'm still...
Hi class, we're gonna do our yoga today, and your
instructor, Lenea the Goddess. Yeah, it doesn't sound sensible, but artistically now, the reason why I gave myself that name is spiritually and creatively. So spiritually, it speaks to the aspect that we all have. That's that creative force within us. That's really limitless. It has nothing to do with gender, race, age. It's just a creative, spiritual force. And then creatively, I wanted to call myself goddess because I've had a journey where it's easy for people to box me. So if I put out a conscious tune, she's this, and then it's hard for me to shift out of that. So the goddess is my way of starting with, you cannot box me. So if I came out today and I had a certain look and I was doing a certain vibe, and then tomorrow I did a complete flip mode, it's okay because I told you that my name is goddess.
Which you're very capable of.
Which I'm very capable of. So it's okay because my name is goddess. So I led with that impression that it's going to be a mix of things. A bit like how, you know, like Vibes Cartel. Cartel implies like he's a cartel of music. So even though he's known for dancehall, he could really do anything he wanted based on his name.
Okay, I can see where you're going with. Now you're talking about your expression, you expressing your art, your craft. Now I remember watching one of your lives a while back, and like I literally pulled off the side of the road and take it in when it gets really good, right? And you're talking about, I don't know if you remember this live. I'm gonna just throw this at you, but you were talking about growing up with your brother and how you guys used to sing a lot. And like one time you went back to Jamaica and, you know, he hadn't sung in a long time. He couldn't sing no more. And you were telling him like, you know, this is how, you know, if you don't harness the abilities you have, they kind of fall to the wayside. the
I
thing
do remember that, and I'm surprised that you,
I
not
told
that
you.
you were watching, but I'm surprised that you remember that random story out of all the stuff that I've said on my
No,
life.
because I thought it was so relevant. I think because, and you and I were chatting a little earlier, and I think that, we kind of, like you said, people tend to box you in sometimes, and I think we're all victims of that to some extent. Where if you allow persons, if you have this look, all right. Somebody asked me the other day. It's when I had Mahari on there, and I said something very Rastafarian in nature, and she kind of gave me the side eye because I cut my dreadlocks off. So I'm like, well, I had to go undercover. I'm like an undercover officer right now because Babylon saw me coming a mile away when I had my dreadlocks on. I had to
Right.
I had to cut it off so that I could. I'm like a Trojan horse in Babylon right now. You
So
know
you
what I
can
mean?
get through
That
those
yeah,
places.
yeah.
I
When
understand that
when I get the
completely.
call, I can do what I need to do. But if they see
Hmm.
me coming from afar off, they're going to already put me in a box and deal with me as such. You know what I mean? But
And then
anyway,
you can't be covert in your
and then you can't
operation.
exactly. So for the loss of the dreadlocks, for those who are watching and
Yeah.
are curious, the reason I lost the big natty them, I had an undercover assignment in Babylon, and I couldn't make Babylon see me coming from a distance. All right,
Right.
glad I could clear it
I
up for
say
you.
got some time.
I
Tell
know.
them.
Now, what I was going to ask about a story with your brother, though, this singing
Uh-huh.
from a young year old, or from a young age, is this what was your introduction into the music business? Like, tell us about Lenea, the singer-songwriter, and how that came about and how that developed.
Oh, thank you. So I wouldn't say that it was my introduction into the music business, but I would say it was just my introduction into music, which are two separate things. Business is business, and music is a creative art form. So I come from a family, my mom was always singing, and I don't mean like professional singing. We had about 20 songs that we would sing together as a family. And if we were like bored or on a long road trip or whatever, we would go through all these songs. So it was quite a musical upbringing. And my parents were very much into vinyl. So we had like
Okay.
2,000
Maybe
vinyl,
my dad has a stash too, yeah?
the good old fashioned stash on the whatnot or on the break
Mm-hmm.
front.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I always loved music, and it was just very much around me. And I just made a choice from a very young age that that's what I like doing to have fun. So it's actually just been a fun thing for me to perform, to use performance art. And I guess over time of it's a fun thing for me. It became a music business because it's a passion, it's a love. And so I feel like it's a natural progression to then become a professional artist.
Okay. Now that evolved into, like I mentioned in your introduction, you being the opening act for people like Gregory Isaacs, Coco T, John Holt, Yami Bolo, Janine, Addis
Yeah.
Pablo. Like, tell me about that journey, like the places it took you, how the experience was, just some of the things that you experienced while on that aspect of your journey.
Okay, thank you. Well, I would say music has been quite an unusual journey for me in that most people don't know this, but I have never been a full-time performer or musician. So it's actually at this stage that I'm like, okay, I can go full time now. And so oftentimes my opportunities were always formed through someone knows that my music was of a certain level, or someone connecting me. So like when I opened for, who did I recently? Okay, so I opened for Janine. I was the first artist in the UK to open for Janine. And when I opened for her, I didn't have any music out. And so other artists who had music out was like, well, how come she's opening? Right? But the guy who booked me, he respected my musicality. So it really wasn't about a friendship or me having a song in the charts. He just felt like musically I was a good choice. And so I've had these great opportunities before even having, like, well, here's my album, yada, yada.
Hmm.
But now it's good for me to, as I'm going into the full-time world, that I already have some of these experiences. under my belt.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about now? What about some of the places visited, or that you performed at? Notable places that we can say, oh yeah, I've been there. I know that place.
Well, to be honest, I would say most of my notable places have been in the UK.
Mhm.
Like, and I don't know how, because the way the UK is, it would be places that are known to people in the UK, like the O2 Centre, the Jazz Cafe, etc. But to somebody outside of the UK, that wouldn't really
It does
have.
not mean anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I would just say, like, I performed in the States, in Florida, New York. I performed in various places in the UK.
Mhm.
And my first single it wasn't even a single, it was a part of a, juggling.
Yeah, man.
So it's a part of a juggling, which is a compilation album. So I had a song on that, and that went really far in Germany. And that song is called Show Me the Way.
Show me the way. Show me the way
Yeah.
to Germany. I like that.
Yeah, but this time next year, I mean, hopefully, because what happened was, as I was ready to embark on my full time, then the world went into lockdown,
I know.
right?
Hey, I
So,
know what you mean. I just finished
yeah,
my book tour when COVID happened. Just.
I was just about to head to San Diego to start the beginning of this lucrative chapter, and then, so hopefully this time next year, I can come back and we can both have amazing catch-up stories about what we've
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sandy said about Lenea, and let me take a second here. I wanna highlight some folks that are on.
done.
Sandy,
Okay.
big up yourself, my dear. I'm not sure where you're going at with about Lenea, the goddess. I'm not sure. Maybe she's saying that wasn't fully answered. If that's what you're saying, restate, my dear, so we can get you. Tanasha Nemhard, big up yourself, my dear. Tanasha, I have to highlight Tanasha for 2 seconds. Tanasha rolled up to my book signing in her wheelchair.
Oh,
Like,
shout out to
I saw
that.
her coming and I'm like, yo, who this lady? Stop speeding like people in store. She rolled up to her. I come get her book and got it signed. Like, yeah, we nearly get her a ticket, man. But yeah,
So
good
I
stuff.
can't see the question that she asked.
No, hang on. I'll put it up for you, my dear.
Okay.
Who else did we have?
Okay,
We
cool.
had Maxi K. Bocha checked in, Amina Mosey Garden checked in, Leon Flemings checked in. That's a couple cities and a couple countries that are
Where is
going.
Leon Flemings from?
Leon Flemings he's in Kingston somewhere, I want to say.
Oh, I thought it was someone from Chester. I'm so
No.
fat.
He's AKA
Yeah.
AKA Flemodon is what his name is. Okay, she's finding her interesting, listening to her. Okay, we're
Thank
good
you,
so far.
Sandy.
Patrice Moore, the Bahamas is in the place. Bless up yourself, Miss Moore. Miss Moore is another singer too. You should hear the pipes on her. You
Oh,
should
where
hear the
is
pipes
she?
on her.
Shout out to everyone.
Yeah, she's
I
in the
love that.
Bahamas. I had her on, streamed one of her performances, and we went to Michael together. She has the pipes on her, boy. All right.
Nice.
Now, you're a musician. All right. Now, what's your process? Well, you play anything apart from the guitar?
I would actually say that I play my voice and I use the guitar for accompaniment. So I'm not as proficient a guitar player as I am a singer.
Okay. I've never heard it be put that way before. I like
Yeah,
it.
because if I go around a guitarist and I'm like, yo, I'm a guitarist, I won't, like, how can I say that? So it's
In
really like,
comparison.
they know I say I'm a singer and I carry myself on the guitar.
Okay, fair
I
enough.
can play the flute and a little bit of piano, but it's more, I guess, because I'm not sitting with those things, that's not what I'm proficient
Now,
at.
as far as your process though, when you're making music, is it, I get the music, then I add the words? Do I get the words, then I add the music? What's your process?
Well, that's a very interesting question because it's so random. So it could be any of those. It could be, okay, wow. Like the other day, I did a live performance, and at the beginning of the performance, I sang something like, oh, and since that day, I was like, that is going to be a song. So I have no words, but I know, okay. But sometimes it's just like, yo, this is what I have to say, and I'm going to figure out a melody after. That's and sometimes the melody and the words come together.
Okay, I feel that. It's funny you say that. I have a whole series of text to myself, text messages, because
Okay.
I might get a line from a poem, and it'll come in my mind, and I'm like, that's good. And I've forgotten enough of them to know that when it comes, I need to store it. So
Yeah.
I'll have 2 lines or 3 lines or 4 lines. And then when I feel the vibe again, I'll sit down and pull up my phone and go back to those lines I had. And several of the poems I've written came from a line.
Oh,
You know what I
that's
mean?
deep. Yeah,
Came
because
from a line.
usually it'll be I will have lots of voice notes in my phone, which to be honest, I hardly ever go back and listen to all those ideas. It's just a thing that says record it. But in the notes, I tend to have different types of writing because writing and not just poetry, just writing generally, it seems to come up out of me as opposed to me writing. So I'll be walking around and like 2 chapters of anything will come out and I'll just type it in my phone.
Wow. Two
Yeah,
chapters. Now
yeah.
you
Because
can get a
sometimes,
good poem out of me at any time, but it ain't gonna be no 2 chapters worth, boy.
well, the thing is, I haven't written poetry for years, and then recently I wrote a poem. But what's been
Tell wait the Jamaica, tell Flo and Cable and Wireless to stop the foolishness. All right. All right, folks. So I guess for right now, Miss Lenea have some technical difficulties. But if you are, who else joined? Let me see. P Daily. I think I'm saying that. Pi Daily. P Daily. Daily. Yeah, bless up yourself. Party Zone Rental Jamaica. Bless up yourself. Same way. I'm gonna take my friend off the screen until she get herself sorted. Yeah, but if you join late, you know what I mean? Welcome to the Even People Show. My guest tonight is Lenea, the goddess. We're just mixing it up right now. She looks like she's ready again. I'm gonna add her back to the mix up. Miss
sorry
Lenea.
about that. My
Okay.
laptop and my phone, I could just see everything loading.
It's
So
all good.
I went onto the mobile data, and maybe it was just too much on one thing.
Okay. Don't worry.
Okay,
I've had this happen before. I've Jamaica Wi-Fi unpredictable.
because I'm like, yo, is
All
it
right, now
me?
check this. You are a published author.
Yeah,
Let me
I
put
am.
up my book. Let me put up my book so that people can see it. And you see what I'm talking about? Looks, people. If you look at this person here on the cover of the book, right? Look at the person on the cover of the book and look for the person back there.
Stop
That's 2
it.
different people. And I've seen her in 3 different looks in between these 2. Anyways, the book
That's
is
too
in
difficult.
honor of me, a collection of poetry and songs. What was the inspiration behind this project?
Okay, well, this book is what it says. It's a collection of poetry and songs. And to be honest, I didn't write this book, meaning I've never written a book. Like, I've never sat down and said, okay, I'm going to write a book. And these poems are for this book. This These poems were taken from about 12 journals of poetry going back to me being about 16. And
Okay.
actually, my favorite poem is the first one I wrote when I was about 16.
Mm-hmm.
So I had them like in my journals, my diaries, and I always knew that you cannot just have these poems like just
Yeah.
hanging around for years. So I always knew that I would eventually publish them.
Mm-hmm.
And I self-published this book. I just want to say I don't have a copy of the other book because I gave it away, but I self-published my daughter's book as well. So these came out at the same time. So she wrote her own book. So I just had to like edit it and do the artwork.
Mm-hmm.
And for this, it's so crazy. It's a book that doesn't make sense sometimes to people because it's a part of a triad of art forms.
Okay. Okay, I see what
Meaning,
you're saying.
yeah, so the songs
No,
that are on my
explain. No,
mixtape,
I get it. Explain it for
you
the
get
fans.
it, yeah. People like, what the hell is she talking about? Okay, so I have a mixtape called A Raw Slice of Reality. So there's 9 songs on it. The songs that are on the mixtape are in this book, in addition to, oh, I just found this, in addition to other songs and other poems. So that's the second art form. So after we published the books, my daughter and I, we created a musical theatre production called In Honor of Us. So this is in honor of me. It's called In Honor of Us. And that's the third part. So a lot of people have had the mixtape first, then purchase the book, and then come to the play. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like three different ways.
The play was in London?
It was in London, yeah, at the Canal Theatre. And a lot of people, when I sold them the book, they didn't understand some of the poetry till they came to the play and realized it was never a poem. It was a song. It was a song. So yeah.
And some of the poems are songs, or some of the, I don't know what their origin was, but some of the poems are songs and some of the songs are poems. Like the song I played to start the show is a poem, but it's a song.
That is a poem, but it's a song because I put a chorus on it and put it to music. And then when I was like in my teens, early 20s, I would have like a poem, and then I would say, you know what, this needs a melody. Or I would have a song, I'd be like, you know what, just forget the melody. So I realized there's no difference to me, really. It's just what direction you take.
No, I concur. Like, I hear music in my head when I'm writing my poems. Like, I could sing any one of my poems. I hear music anytime I'm writing. The music is going out of my head.
Oh, is it? Oh, wow.
For sure.
That's quite deep because I don't have that experience. So that's quite specific.
Get Fit with Sunshine Sandy dropped in as well. Bless up yourself, my dear. If you want some fitness tips,
good evening.
YouTube channel out. And also Party Zone Rental, JA, my people. Yeah, if you want some Party Zone Rental business, you're linking them up. All right, it's so funny. I told a friend, to watch the show. They said, Martin, I watched it from beginning to end. I didn't understand anything you said.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah, so if you hear me using my so people that are not patois speaking can understand us voice, that's the patois people. The not patois speaking people can understand.
Understand. Okay.
Now, you're very passionate about expressing your musical and creative gifts, the many of them. What is your ultimate, where are you trying to reach with this?
Oh, wow.
Like, it's your passion, you're good at it, you have several levels of it that you have developed. Where are you trying to go with it?
That's a good question. I just want to say you've got really good questions.
Thank you.
You're just making me have a good experience. So where am I trying to go with it? I feel like when I first started the journey, I always felt like, oh, I just want to unlock my potential, because I was really aware that I had these little potentials inside of me that people couldn't see, but I was aware of them, you know? So prior, it was like, I want to unlock my potential and inspire humanity at the same time, right? And I would pretty much say that it's kind of the same thing. I just want to be able to be me. I get bored. I can't have a 9 to 5. I can get really bored. Do you get what I'm saying? So I have to find ways to be me. And in this modern time, to find ways to sustain myself, being myself. So that's basically where this is heading. Lenea is going to keep on being herself to the best of my capacity.
All right. Louise, Louise, I have good questions. I appreciate y'all, mate. I put some thought process into it. You see my British accent terrible off point. Your British accent terrible off point. Me, gosh, you're wrong with me. Anyways, check this. So you've always felt that creativity and healing have a symbiotic relationship. Now I want to slow that down for the viewers so that they can process it. You've always felt that creativity and healing have a symbiotic relationship. Now, how has this knowledge, this thought, this feeling helped to develop you as a mystic?
Oh, as a mystic. How has it helped to develop me as a mystic? I'm telling you, your questions are amazing. So, because no one's asked me that before.
All right, here's what we're going to do. Hang on,
Lenea.
Hang on.
Oh yeah, let's have a
Here's what we're
little.
gonna do. You see, because I have already Googled and thought out what a mystic is and who a mystic is before you even
Yeah,
answer
because you
that
haven't
first
even you
question.
haven't
No,
mentioned
I
me
get
being
it. I
mystic.
get
Yeah,
it, and
yeah, yeah. Okay.
I apologize. Let's take it one step back.
Okay,
Now,
cool.
I introduced you as musician, singer-songwriter, businesswoman too, which we'll touch here in a minute, and mystic. Now,
Okay.
people, some people may not even, they don't know what we're talking about. They don't know what you're talking about. And just like the name Lenea, the goddess, they might wonder what the is
Hell
going
is
on
she saying?
here. Now, you are a
Mhm.
mystic. You do tarot cards, tarot card readings. Tell us about that. And you know what, Lenea? Tell us about the development of that
Okay.
so that they can kind of understand it.
Okay, so I feel like I had a few questions put to me, so I'm just going to
You did.
start from zero. So I am a mystic and I do read tarot cards, but reading tarot cards does not make me a mystic. So let's just clarify that. So I'll
Okay.
just, okay. So creativity and healing have a symbiotic relationship, meaning they complement each other. So I just want to say hi to my student and sister in the comments. Yay! That's
Oh,
Pi Daily. She
okay, good.
actually, her name is Anne, and she recently graduated from my tarot academy. So she's just starting her tarot business, which I'm really excited about. And she's also a member of my yoga studio.
Okay,
Okay,
cool.
cool. So
Nice.
she's here. It's funny because she's a part of my healing and creative work, right? So, okay, so creativity and healing go hand in hand. So the more creative you are, the more you'll heal. And the more you heal, the more you want to heal, the more creative you have to be about it, right?
Okay. Mhm.
So, like for me, I'm of Jamaican ancestry, and our culture can be quite traumatic. So, like just growing up, even if nothing happened to you, just observing what's happening in society for a woman can be quite traumatic because we grow up knowing that this 8-year-old girl just went missing and was found dead. We grow up knowing about really traumatic things. And we even grow up seeing lots of dead dogs on the road. So, like little things that you might not
No, you're
experience.
right. You're correct.
Yeah, right. So, we grow up with a high level of trauma before it even becomes a personal experience in our homes. And so for me, I had experienced a lot of the environmental trauma, but also my family was quite a traumatic unit. So for me to thrive as a child, I was creative. I found that going to dance class and singing class and this and that was a great way for me to use all this energy, which really at home was quite toxic. So the energy at home for me and everyone was quite toxic. But when I came out of that space, I could heal by being creative. And it was
Mhm.
very unconscious. You get what I'm saying? So I never realized the first years of my life, 5, 6, 7, I never realized what was going on. So
Right.
by the time I decided, everyone's like, she's a singer, not realizing it's because I've actually leaned so much on the art forms to heal myself. It's cathartic. So if you think about Tyler Perry, for example, and the plays and the films that he first started doing, we know that Tyler Perry experienced trauma. We can see it in his writing. And
Right.
so he explains that, yeah, this was a cathartic process for him. Do you get what I'm saying? So that's just creativity. So I just grew up 100% in performing arts. I'm able to create anything. So if I want to, it's only recently I've started sewing a lot, but I've always been able to create something. So if I see something, I can make it. If I'm decorating my house, I'm not going to pay someone because I'm going to be upset with the job. It's that kind of thing. Like even on a practical level, the only time I paid someone to paint my house, I was so upset because the job they did was mediocre, right? But in addition to this, I was very intuitive. And the family, as toxic as it was, everyone was intuitive.
Right.
So within my family unit, a very normal conversation would be us sitting at the breakfast table, maybe me and my brother, while my parents walk past getting ready. and they would be talking about what they dreamt last night. Now, a lot of Caribbean people have this experience, but we didn't have words like mystic, psychic. We didn't have that vocabulary back in the day in the Caribbean. Even now, we don't really have that vocabulary. So we would often be dreaming and we would discuss what we were dreaming. And oftentimes it would happen that the dream that my mom had was a warning for what I was going to experience in the day to come, and vice versa. But because we had no word for it, I never knew everybody wasn't like that. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
That's just how we were.
And it's kind of like your brother's singing. It's kind of like your brother's singing. And this is why that story stuck with me, and the rest of how that live went. It's kind of like your brother's singing. You said he didn't practice his singing. He stopped singing. And because he stopped singing, he couldn't sing. When you went back to him for y'all to sing like he usually sing, he couldn't hold a note because he hadn't sung anything in so long. And I think that the mystic, and like we were talking about earlier, the barnyard, the whole using yourself to heal yourself is something that Black people had with them at one time.
But I wouldn't say, and I want us to be careful how we're throwing words out, because I wouldn't say per se that is something that Black people had with them. Okay. And also, because you mentioned barnyard, so we were having a discussion earlier on, and a barnyard is traditionally a place in the Caribbean, in Jamaica, where you would get some type of traditional healing. So someone would give you a bath or whatever, some traditional healing, right? So the barnyard is associated with alternative spirituality, because Christianity dominates Jamaica. But that's not really what I'm talking about when I'm talking about being a natural mystic.
Okay.
Being a natural mystic means it's not about anything outside of you. It is that intuition that you have. It's the ability, like as a child, I revealed all the family secrets to my mom. So say, for example, my dad had a secret, he wouldn't tell me, but I would go somewhere and someone would tell me, and I would go and tell my mom. Being so young, I didn't even know what was happening, because I'm the mystic. So I'm going to get all the secrets. I'm going to get all that information that's being hidden. Either people are telling me directly or I'm dreaming about it. So that's something that's why I said it's separate to being a tarot reader. It's separate to being someone that does spiritual healing. It's more about your spiritual relationship with your ancestors. And Black people, and not only Black people, but within the context of this conversation, we're talking about Caribbean cultures. We have always had that, and we still have it. Okay. So many people are going to watch this and they're like, shit, excuse my language. They're going to be like, she's talking about what I've experienced. But this isn't something, it's just something we don't talk about. We don't have words for it. But as a Caribbean people, African American people, European people, do you get what I'm saying? Asian, African, they all have this spiritual gift. It's just that we have different levels of it. And just like with my brother, with him not using his voice, and so he couldn't sing anymore.
Right.
For me, on a spiritual level, that would now be my intuition. So if I get really used to not paying attention to how I'm feeling over what someone else is saying, in Jamaica, we call it vibes. If I don't follow my vibes, like say there's a man called John. John is smiling, but my vibe says, don't trust this dude. If I don't trust that thing, I'm going to get hurt. That's spiritual gift. Okay. You don't need something for it. Do you get what I'm saying?
I am getting what you're saying. Yes.
Getting what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And in terms of how that links to my journey in tarot, I will say that as a performer, I always felt like my performance was, I don't know, healing in some way. Even though I wasn't trying to heal, I was just singing a random song. But because I'm a natural mystic, I always get dreams about people. I'll have a dream, and 6 years later, the dream will come to pass. So it's a part of my identity. And later in my career, I trained to be an African yoga teacher and created my own school of African yoga. And to be honest, doing the yoga that I was doing helped to open up gifts that were already there. And the gifts that I already had they improved. Do you get what I'm saying? So I became more spiritually open, just more understanding of energy. And that's what led me to learning. I taught myself how to read tarot. And when it comes to Caribbean people, Black people in the Western world, the idea of reading tarot is really tainted by the white media. So the reason why I'm saying that is I am personally very shocked that it took me so long to want to read tarot. But I know that the reason is I was brought up in a very Rastafari cultural home. And when I saw tarot on the media, it's some witch thing. And it's always like some devil card, death card, some negative stuff. So me seeing that, I did not relate to that. So I never wanted to learn tarot. But that's really just TV. That's not really tarot. Do you get what? That's just TV. And all tarot is that same intuition I'm telling you about, that feeling you have about something. All tarot is a tool. And you have these tools and the cards have different meanings. It doesn't give you intuition. It helps you to use your natural intuition that you already have.
It informs it.
It informs it. So what happens is when I was teaching, I run a yoga school called the Smitawi Yoga School. That's the word you weren't sure how to pronounce.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Right. So Smitawi is an ancient Egyptian yoga system. Again, it's come to dispel the myth that African people don't have anything. So what the world kind of gestures to us to say is all races have something of significance, but Africans don't have anything. And that's what makes people of African descent can have real self-esteem issues for that reason, right? So Smitawi is a great system that dispels that myth because it proves that yoga comes from Africa, not from India. And that even the yoga that's in India, it was travelers who left Africa who took it over, right? So when I started to teach people that, a lot of women and men would come to me and they would start to just heal. This isn't healing like laying hands on people. This is teaching someone tools to bring their body into alignment through breath and movement. So when I say, okay, that's healing work, I'm not laying hands on people, but it is still healing work. And people come to receive some healing in some area, okay? Now with the tarot, that is more, I didn't actually prepare for this, but as soon as we're here. So these are my cards. These are one of my decks, because I've got about 30 different tarot decks.
Yeah, I'm smiling from ear to ear. The tarot cards came out, so I'm ear to ear right now.
I'm like, okay, I wasn't planning to have, no, let's just start with this. So anyone can buy a deck of tarot cards. They have no power. They are cartridge paper with pictures on it. That's the first thing you need to understand. And within our culture, we can be so superstitious. This is the same cardboard where you use to put a shopping inside. They just have printed pictures on it, right?
Right.
So the power is within you. It's never within the cards. So for example, this is the Stand Your Ground card. So if I drew this card for you, I would be like, okay, there's some issue in your life, but you need to stand your ground. Don't give up. Fight for what you believe in. You know what I'm saying? So when I read for people, this is me going into their energy, and it's always looking for what's going to make them heal so they can be in alignment, so they can be successful. It's not, I am not trying to prove to you that I'm psychic. I'm not trying to tell you about your mother, baby, father, auntie. You get what I'm saying? Like, no, I'm not trying to prove anything to you. I'm just zoning directly into your energy, telling you what's dominant, what might be blocking you, what might be supporting you. And it's a conversation so we can get to the end of the road, which is where you feel like you've got more power over your life. So the reading that I do, even though it's a mental experience, is healing, because by the end of my readings, people usually feel a lot better. Okay. Now I just want to add this last thing. Now I know to some people with the introduction. I won't make that word there.
A foreign it come from, a foreign it come from.
With the
Yes.
introduction of the tarot card, I want to say this before I wrap up. So when we come from cultures that is rooted within colonialism, basically, we have a natural fear of anything that isn't, one, Christian, but two, on a deeper level, Abrahamic. Okay? So Christian speaks to a spiritual system. Okay, it's a spiritual system that it's an Abrahamic spiritual system, meaning it follows all of the prophets of the Abrahamic lineage are mentioned, you know? But what a lot of people in Christianity don't realize is there's Christianity and then there's Abrahamic. And you have two other major traditions that are also Abrahamic, and they are Islam and Judaism. So on a global level, it's like, as long as you're Abrahamic, it's like it's somewhat acceptable. Like on a Jamaican level, if you're not Christian, it's not acceptable. But on a global level, you get what I'm saying? As long as you're Abrahamic, you're acceptable. But that is a conditioning, because the people who were brought over to the Caribbean and to America and to Southern America, they don't have ancestors who were following Abrahamic faith. Right. So even if Christianity is in Africa and so is Islam and so is Judaism, these West African people that were brought over through the Middle Passage were not, they didn't honor Moses, Abraham, you know, like they didn't know about the prophets.
Anybody in that line.
Yeah. So this isn't to disrespect Christianity, because I'm so funny about that, because it's not necessary. But I'm just saying it to say, when I'm talking about tarot, okay, I'm not talking about a religion. I'm not talking about Islam, a Judaism, a Rasta, or a Christianity. It's not a spiritual system. It's a spiritual tool, and there is a difference. When I'm talking about Smai Tawi, which is this ancient Egyptian yoga system, it is a system, but it is a tool. It's something that you use to take care of yourself. Just like with tarot, it's something that you use to develop a better relationship with yourself. Some people do not know themselves, and if they start using tarot cards, I mean it, right? I mean it. Yes, Sandy, you might feel like to get a little tarot card, yeah? Because but if you're black, get black ones, which I'll show you in a bit, yeah? But this is a way for you to get to know how you really feel about things. For example, I might do a reading to say, what's my energy right now? And I might think that I'm in an optimistic state. And the cards will be like, well, there's something that you're disappointed about. And that will be a shock to me, because I've pushed the disappointment so far down, I'm not aware of it. So this is really about awareness. But the last practice that I do, which is a system and a spiritual tool, which is why I'm making these distinctions, which I think is the most unknown in the Western world, and specifically in my culture, like Jamaica. This practice is called Ifa, I-F-A. And this is traditional Yoruba spirituality that comes from the Yoruba people of West Africa, which is now known as Nigeria. So they come from a portion of what is known as Nigeria. It's called Yoruba land. Now, this spiritual system is an ancestral system. It is one of the systems that our ancestors were doing prior to the excavation of Africa due to the Middle Passage.
I like that.
Right. Yeah. The excavation and plundering of Africa.
That is brilliant. Thank you for that.
Yeah, and within this system, this is not hands-on healing, but this is, all right, let me just wrap this up. I want to just wrap this up.
No, you're good. You're good.
Because I feel like I'm rambling, but what it is, I want to make sure that I don't think, oh, shoot, you never said that one thing.
Take your time. You're good. Take your time.
Okay, so as I mentioned, we have tarot, which is a spiritual tool, okay? We have Smai Tawi, which is a spiritual tool. It's a system, but it's used as a spiritual tool, because you can't just know Smai Tawi. It's something you have to do, yeah? Then you have Ifa. Ifa is a spiritual tool and a whole vast system. Ifa is actually a divination tool. What is divination? Divination is the ability to get information about something using something else. So say, for example, if I use these cards, I'm divining. It's called divination. That's what it's really called, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And at the end, I think I'm going to draw a card for someone if they want me to draw a card, just to show you guys.
Not for me, but anybody want a card, John, talk on. No card for the life. What's that joke? This? No, mind. No, here. Well. Let me clarify. The reason I would not want you to draw a card for me per se is I'm very compartmentalized. Very compartmentalized. That's how I function.
Because you're an Aquarius. And we never mentioned astrology yet, but we'll get there.
So I would not want you to draw a card that speaks about something that is not does not belong to this compartment.
Okay, cool.
You see what I'm saying? And so I gotta actually Sandy wants you to draw for her. There we go.
Okay, so we'll do one for Sandy at the end. Thank you, Sandy. I really appreciate the opportunity to do that.
All right.
Okay, so Aoife is a divination tool. Okay, so the same way how tarot is a tool, Aoife is a tool.
Mm-hmm.
But Aoife is, if tarot is a staple that staples paper together, then Aoife is bricks and cement. That's the level of healing that people can get. So when people come to have an Aoife session, it's not like tarot where it's me telling you the message. The message is coming from me. But when you have an Aoife divination session, you are receiving the message, wait for it, because it's a bit controversial for Western minds, but you're receiving the information from the Orisha. Who are the Orisha? They're African gods. So this is the difference when it comes to African spirituality. You're no longer just trying to guess. I wonder if this card means this. I wonder if this person can tell me about my dream. You don't go to people anymore. You go to the gods and they bless you by giving you the guidance that you need in this time based on the destiny that you chose, because everyone has a different destiny. So what's right for Martin might not be right for me. So we don't do this dogmatic thing where, you know, like Christianity is like, everyone must do this and everyone must do that. But the truth is we all have different destinies. So Aoife is that system where you can come back into your ancestral footprint to experience what they would have experienced essentially, and to get that deeper, not only guidance, but the healing that goes with it. And that's it. That's what I had to say about that.
No, this is good. This is great. And you're one of your students is calling me shady. Whatever, mate.
What is he? What is she saying? Who's calling you shady? Oh
you see, I was even chair.
You know why she's saying that? Because she's saying that because you don't want to get read. But here's the truth, okay? So talk about tarot readings. I started reading on my Facebook page this end of this year, it'll be 4 years ago, right? And I have read for thousands and thousands and thousands of people on the live stream. So when I'm reading for the people on the live stream, I can't see them. It's just like on YouTube. You're just seeing someone say hi, you know, and you'll be like, okay, I'll do a reading for you. Now, even though I do that for other people, I can't see myself doing that. I could not see myself being on Facebook with everybody there. And because I'm so private, but I do understand, because I can do it for myself. Most of the people who are doing it, they can't do it for themselves, you know.
Right.
So, yeah.
What we can do, you can do mine after the live ends, and me and you wrapping up the show behind the scenes.
Watch out! Oh, you want to kind of?
I take my reading in private to go, please. Thank you much.
In a little doggy bag.
But let me ask you something here. Just like I'd say Rastafarianism was in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, right? Taboo. You know, grab them and do this to them or whatever. The black heart, man, you need to run from him and all these things, right?
Yeah.
Tarot card reading, being a mystic, channeling ancestral capabilities, channeling ancestors. A lot of people look at this as what do you say? What do you say to those people? And how are they, or how did they arrive, you think, at the point that they are at, to where they think that what you are saying or what you do is just so far out left field?
Good question. I think for the most part is conditioning. It's really conditioning. So as you said, Rasta back in the day was the black heart man and this and that. And Rasta isn't known as that now. So clearly something happened in the past 40 years or so that has conditioned the nation to look at Rasta differently. In the same way that they were conditioned initially to look at Rasta. Now, you know, obviously we've got a sensitive history on this planet in the past century. Let's just say the past century, very sensitive. And it is actually something I experienced growing up in Jamaica, where it's even more in Jamaica than it is in England, right? Which is basically that anything that comes from Africa is disgusting. Anything that comes from Africa is disgusting. From the darkness of my skin to the curliness of my hair, the broadness of my nose is disgusting. So you see, because we have this Christian, that's what's right, white and Christian, deep down to Jamaica society, that's what's right. Take out the Christian, white is right. So because of that, I'm not really bothered about people like being like, what the hell? But I see it as a symptom of people being unconscious, not even to their own history, but just to the planet as it is right now. Remember that it's the social media that's allowed us to start to see around the world, not just what the news stations are broadcasting, but we've been able to see, oh, this is what's happening there, you know? On the planet right now, Christianity is not the biggest religion.
No, it's not.
You understand what I'm saying? So because we're in these little small pockets, we're in America isn't liquor, but we're in America, we're in Jamaica, it's the Americas. We become very much like Jamaica is the world or America is the world. But if you looked around the planet, you see that not everyone took on an Abrahamic faith. And actually, Abrahamic faith is the most modern belief system on this planet. And that doesn't mean it's wrong. You get what I'm saying?
But all the rest of them have been around for a while prior to that. They've been
around, yeah. And when it comes to the enslavement of Africans, something that has been my trauma, like I have never been a slave. I have never been on a middle passage. I've never been forced to work in a field. And yet, I feel that as
you're suffering
trauma,
the PTSD associated with it.
And a part of it is anything that's connected to my ancestors is devilry, is demonic. And let me tell you something. I don't know if you remember this, because we haven't even mentioned this yet, but me and Martin, we come from the same part of Jamaica, right? We went to the same high school at different times. So I don't know if you remember this in Jamaica, but I remember watching the one TV station, JBC, okay? And I remember at lunchtime, they had certain programming. Sometimes there would be no TV on midday.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you were really, really lucky, you might just get to see some cannibals on the TV, African cannibals.
Oh yes.
So you remember that?
I actually
now
remember
we're in Jamaica. That's an African dominant country. 95% clean of the people are not just African. 90% of them are dark-skinned Africans. So why, as a child, the only thing that you see that's got black people on TV is the Cosby Show, that's really modern, or these savage Africans, they're trying to boil a white man. That's the only thing I saw about Africa on TV growing up, apart from like apartheid, which made me think, if it wasn't for my cultural influence, why on earth would I want to be associated with that? Those people were primitive.
And I think that is what the success of colonialism, I think that's its legacy. I think how successfully they have convinced us that we are actually less than. What we possess naturally is not desired. The things that our ancestors did is not desired. The things that we are capable of, we should put down in light of what they are capable of. I think that right there is the success of colonialism. It's its byproduct.
Mhm.
It's its offspring. It is its legacy that it has left with us. And right now, even right now, when bleaching your skin color and all these things is still so prevalent, you realize that the things that they have left us is like a machine that is still working flawlessly because it is still achieving the
Absolutely.
objective that it was left to achieve. It is still convincing our kids. Come on, Chronicles just said they never told us that black was beautiful, and they didn't. And a lot of us still don't believe that black is beautiful. A lot of
And
us
we
are not
don't.
attracted. Put it simply, a lot of us are still not attracted to black and blackness and black things and black people. If a man say two females right now, he might go automatically gravitate toward the lighter skin one. Why? And vice versa. It's like
It's really self-hate.
we still have not accepted that black is good, black is beautiful, black is better. We don't embrace those things.
And most
The legacy,
importantly, black is me, you know?
black is
Yeah, so
me.
whether it's good or not, it's me, and I'm going to rock with it because that's who I am, you know?
Yeah, now let's look at this here. Patrice is saying that back to what you said earlier about creativity being healing. Creativity, though an artist in particular music, reveal the heart and meditation of the Rastafarian. And as the good book says, as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. The Rastaphobia peeled away over time. To the point.
I mean, I would say it peeled away, definitely. And it's even like evolved into something else. So on one of my YouTube pages, I've got a video called Rastafari, the Bridge to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And I was explaining that as a young person, even for my mother, when she explained her own life, that there was a time where Rasta was the only group that was encouraging Black people to like being Black. Like that's how deep it was. Because, you know, whether she left Jamaica and she was living in the UK and the Rasta movement was, it turned up. And that's what made her decide to be more pro-Black. And she said, even though sometimes people look at Rastas now, and especially there's all different kind of Rasta. So you might look at a non-progressive Rasta and just be like, yo, Rasta isn't nothing. But the truth is, at the apex of how it was functioning, it really did make people say, you know what, I'm going to stop perming my hair. I'm going to stop bleaching my skin. I'm going to try and be progressive and productive. And obviously times have changed. Even some things that Rastas would sing about in songs, they can't sing about those things anymore now because, and I'm just being real, because everything has to be politically correct. Okay. So I feel like now people have almost lost faith in Rasta because it was so before. Right. And then now it's like, but the truth is, that's why I made my video to say the issue that I have with the Rasta situation is not seeing Rasta as a bridge. Rasta is not a home. Rasta is a bridge, meaning Rasta is the bridge that takes African people in the Caribbean to Africa to see it as even before they've physically been there. Rasta starts saying, Africa is beautiful. Being African is a beautiful thing. You know what I say?
Yes, Africa is home. Africa is home. And if I have African traits or aspire toward African things, it is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing.
It's actually desirable. There's nothing wrong with it.
But my opinion is what kind of got people stuck is, imagine it's a bridge. So it's a bridge, right? But you get stuck on the bridge. What you're supposed to do is to take the Rasta trod and follow the bridge, but you're supposed to end up in Africa, even if it's mentally. Which means that when I speak to most people of African descent and I say to them, can you name me 3 African gods that are not Abrahamic? Them don't know nothing. Them can't. I mean,
my girl, where would they even have learned it? Where would they even have learned it?
But they have to walk the bridge of Rasta to even start to look to Africa. But they have to get off the bridge and go and learn 2 things about Africa.
Lenea, where is Africa? Africanism, African heritage, African actual true African culture. I'm sorry, where is that being taught exactly? Which curriculum has that on it exactly? And if it's not on the
again,
curriculum,
it's
if it's not on the
colonialism,
curriculum,
though.
where exactly are these kids gonna learn it? They're not.
They have to learn it from their parents. I
Which
don't
parents?
accept that.
Almost a
I don't
joke,
accept
like.
that. I understand that the masses are not awake, but I do still put the responsibility to everyone, to their parent.
No, but
Because
here's the thing.
I was
Before,
responsible for my daughter having positive
right.
values. If I didn't give them to her, she might not have them.
perceive myself responsible for mine.
Right.
And as I have taught her. But at the same time, do you think this is high on the priority of persons who themselves don't accept themselves for how they look?
I guess
how
that
am I going to teach my child? How am I going to teach my child to accept being black, to accept her nappy hair if I don't accept my own?
Facts. But this is why I'm saying it is the parents, because if you have a mother who's been bleaching from morning, noon, and night, you're not gonna think bleaching is a negative thing. You get me? So that's why it's still, even if one day, the parents are everything. That's what I'm gonna say. My parents were extremely flawed, so I'm not gonna try and say, oh, no. But there was something that they did when it came to the black perception of self that was empowering for me, and I can see that in my work. And this is why I'm so unapologetic about how someone wants to look at my tarot readings. My tarot readings save life. Ifa saves life. People come to our temple and Ifa saves their sick child's life. This is not the kind of thing where it's like, do you get what I'm saying? Let's just go to the corner and pray and hope for a better day. So because we see so much really dramatic results, all we can do is just hope and pray that at some point people will start to wake up. But here's the other thing. It's not everyone's destiny to come into this planet and to be aware of the value of their skin. Some people have other trajectories, I guess. So
no, true, I guess. And
you know, yeah.
No, I don't get it. And I appreciate, and I'm gonna sidetrack here. Did Miss Melhedo ever teach you? Miss Melhedo, Manchester High School, Manchester High School. So I'm gonna tell you right now, Miss Melhedo,
she's amazing.
Changed my life. Miss Melhedo changed my life very, very simply because she introduced me to how fascinating history was.
Yeah, she was a great teacher, though, wasn't she?
Introduced me to history. She introduced me to reading history for myself. She wanted me to go out there to the library and sit there and study history and being able to identify. By the time I got to college, me and one of my professors got into it because I got up and left the class and she wanted to know why. And I'm like, I can't use this textbook. This textbook that you have on the curriculum is flawed. The person that wrote this is biased. It is not hidden as subtly as they would like to think. It is there. Yeah. It is annoying. I can't have this textbook be my textbook when the author of this textbook is obviously a WHITE man and he's biased.
Oh my God. What book was that? Was that the book with all the heroes on the front? I don't
remember. Some book they used that to teach history at the tertiary level.
I'm going to buy some of them school book there again.
And the book was flawed at its very core. The book, the perspectives that were, even the cover of the book had somebody that, the pictures they had on there made the people them look like, make slavery look like rehab, like you just did there chill. In a 5-star.
Listen, do you remember this book? First Form Manchester High, Arawaks to Africans.
Yes, I'm very thoroughly familiar with Arawaks to Africans.
First of all, I'm going to buy that book. Second of all, you see that book? That's the book. Even the art that's on the front is Ifa. It's the same system. They're so wicked. When they wrote that book, the artifacts, those Yoruba artifacts that we all had to learn about, they made out like they were just art. Basically, when they presented Yoruba to us as students in Jamaica, they took out the spiritual aspect. So that's why we never heard about Ifa. But they knew, but they decided, let's just not mention that in the book. So when we look at Yoruba or Nigeria, etc., those places, we just see wooden carving when I have no meaning. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah.
So I'm gonna say one thing before we move on, because we have to move on.
Yeah, I know.
You don't want to get me started. I had a guest on here.
Trust me.
I had a guest on here, Melanie Dawes from US Virgin Islands, And Melanie got me triggered, boy. Not triggered in a bad way, but triggered in the fact that she had me sharing my own thoughts and views on the show as opposed to her thoughts and views, which is what she said something that got me triggered, and I went
That's
in
good. You
I
have
went
to talk
in
your
deep.
thing. You have to talk the thing then.
You would think she was the interviewer and I was the interviewee. Yeah, she got me. So I'm not gonna actually, even though I feel passionately about the things that we're talking about,
how do your viewers feel? How do you think your viewers feel about this? Because what it is about this subject, it really is, you know, to each their own. So someone who doesn't really share the same opinion as we might share might be like, what are they talking about? Like, what is this even about?
Here's what I think. Here's what I think a lot of persons don't realize. I got to where I am in history and my concept of history itself, because I was always curious about how things started, the root of something. So when I fell in love with reggae music, I tried to find the root of reggae music. I studied stuff and read stuff and got music and save up my lunch money and buy CD and buy music because I wanted to get to the bottom of it. And I did the same thing with history. I wanted to get to the bottom of that too. But not everybody has that curiosity where they really just want to understand how things work. How did we come to be here? How is it that the history of our country that we live in says that the indigenous people were Arawaks and Caribs, but we live here and we're black? Where did we come from here? And if we've been here for 400 years, how much of our actual authentic heritage remains? And if what we do now and practice now are not our authentic heritage, then what is it? And what did our authentic heritage look like?
Well, you'd be surprised. I would say that in Jamaica, from what I've seen, and just from basic research, Jamaicans practice a lot of African spirituality and it's second nature to them and they don't realize it. So they do a lot of things here.
Now think about
that I never heard about because my parents were Rasta. So certain things we never even did two inner. But me see some people are just certain little things which now I know that's Ifa.
No, because certain communities
in the society,
certain communities have been close-knit the entire time. So me seeing my grandmother planting coffee, reaping coffee, put it in the mortar with the mortar stick and chum it. That's where she would say until it beat out. And when you say, "Mama, I don't know," she said, "No, chum it some more." And you go chum it some more, right?
I remember that.
You have certain things, certain practices that have been actually passed down in certain communities, right? But those communities, you can't Google them.
Right.
They're not upon TV. You can't Google search and find them. So in certain communities, you have certain practices still being practiced, right? That are almost coming straight the same way back in Africa or in our early times we used to pass things down, in the absence of writing and stuff like that. Because when you come to a country, races are mixed or different tribes are mixed, languages now become an issue. Then you have to just pass things down to whoever is right there before you. And if it's not recorded, it gets lost, especially if the people that are in charge are trying to get it lost. You see what I'm saying?
Well, definitely. And I think that even though we had become prisoners of war, that's what I like to call the slaves because, hey, we're prisoners of war. So even when we were prisoners of war, even post quote unquote freedom of the emancipation, post that, so coming into like our grandparents, parents, and our grandparents, that generation, we had practitioners who had kept whatever they came with and were still very much doing it. Right. I would say that it's actually within the last century that there's been more of a degradation of whatever we brought over.
Because the world became
give it up.
The world became
America.
The
world tried to give it up
small.
for American stuff. Like Jamaica has this thing, like they just anything they have, let's just put it down for what American, that kind of thing.
But when you're primed and prepped for that, it's easy. When you're primed and prepped for that, it's easy.
Because we
you're
have no
already-
value. When you don't value a thing, it's
Exactly.
very easy to be like, yo, maybe just go do that something there, you know.
When you're
Yeah.
already, all right, the poem that I'm going to read here in a minute, because there's a lot of points that came up that reminds me of one poem in your book, and I'm going to read it.
Okay.
It's when somebody does not think, they don't value what it is that you have for what it's worth. But it's not because, let me tell you, all right, a lot of times, you know, when you hold your ground, other persons want to impose their opinions and thought processes on you, you're not wrong enough. It's just that they're more convincing than you are. They're more enthusiastic than you are. They're in a higher position than you are. You're not wrong at all, but you relinquish your right for their wrong because of a position they have or your perception of them. So I'm saying, now fast forward hundreds of years when you have done that, where you have been taught to put off what is authentically yours and embrace something that belongs to somebody else. And your value to society, your value as a person in life is now ascribed based on the proximity to which you can approximate their likeness. In other words, you are more valuable to your society if you are more white than your brother. If you can assimilate the value system of your colonizer and demonstrate it more than your brother, you are more acceptable. If you are lighter complexion, you're more acceptable. If you don't practice anything that came from Africa, you're more acceptable. If you don't embrace anything black and authentically black, you're more acceptable. Now, you teach that to your kids because you want them to have a better life than you did. So you teach them, straighten up your nose, do this, wear that, talk like this, act like that, because this is what will give you status in society. This is what will make you more acceptable to the colonizer. And you may be able to be moved forward as a result of it. And now you have a society where that is ingrained in the institutions that we have. When they even emancipated us, they gave us the blueprint and say, here, this is how colonizers rule former slaves. Go rule your brothers the same way. And that's what we've been doing since emancipation, is that we took the blueprint given to us by the colonizer and we've been ruling our brother with it.
And not even that, I would say sometimes even worse than, because when the independence of the slaves happened, the country wasn't independent. So what happened is they were still under the state. That's how I came to be born in England, because my grandfather and my parents were born when Jamaica belonged to England. And so they could just jump over when England said they want some Jamaican people to come out of war. They just jumped over, not the war, something else. Oh yeah, because the English people are lazy. They didn't want to work. So they invited all of these people to come from the Caribbean to do the jobs that British people didn't want to do. So yeah, so like my grandfather is one of those people on both sides, actually, both of my grandfathers. So they went to the UK, then they brought their children up, which they could because it was easy because Jamaica belonged to England. But you see, very shortly after, because Jamaica doesn't belong to England, it's just not the same thing. So from my perception, what I see is a lot of people stuck in Jamaica because Jamaica has no mother country anymore, technically, yeah. And that is when the exchange of power went from the British state to what we now know as the corrupt politicians of Jamaica. So it was like, but it was already crazy.
It was already crazy.
But the politicians in England aren't moving like the politicians in Jamaica. The politicians in Jamaica are somethingelse.com. So when we took over, it's like the independence, it just made this country go into the most bizarre level of institution.
Yeah, it was like, because, and here's the thing, Marcus Garvey said it. You have to first, and I want to address what Tanasha said. That's why I have it up there. You have to first have a concept of, You have to first have a concept of being black, you know. You have to first have a concept of being black and actually see yourself as equal or better than any other racial counterpart on the planet before you can even.
Yeah, preferably better for your first 20 years. Preferably better for your first 20 years, and then you can humble yourself.
This is what I'm saying, Lenea. You have to first be able to break that one barrier before you can even be able to perceive certain things. You understand? All right, it's no different, and I apologize for going into some philosophy right now, but it's no different, or psychology. It's no different from Maslow and his hierarchy of needs, right? When he said that persons at certain level of the hierarchy, they cannot perceive certain things. They're not going to sit here and think about quality of life when they can't figure out eating tonight. You understand? They're not going to think about the quality of where I live when I can't figure out what I'm going to eat. So it's like, if you're not at certain level of the hierarchy of need, certain things not even go across your mind. You understand? So unless you are actually at a place where you have accepted and are willing to accept, are willing to open up yourself to the fact that a lot of the things that you have been taught, and like Tanasha rightly says, some of our parents and grandparents, somebody should have been teaching them rather than them trying to teach us with their minds that were 100% turned off track by the colonizer. And now you teach me.
But then, just stick a pin. I just want to stick a pin on that, because what we're not saying, what I'm not saying, Mickey, I'm bad for nobody. So what I'm not saying is that what the ancestors taught us isn't of value. I'm not saying that. What I'm actually saying, and I don't think that's the point either, because what I think is it depends what the topic is. For example, my grandparents, the way that they ate, meaning the times that they ate, was a very good example for how to be healthy and how to be well. And they weren't putting no food in no microwave. They weren't eating pasta. So even though they ate meat, they would have whole foods like chicken and rice or fish and yam. And it was very routine. Like you always had fish on Fridays, you know, things like that. So there's certain things that they taught us, which allowed them to live into their 90s, which we're not doing now, which will not allow us to live into our 90s. So
but quality of life is one thing. Quality of life and living is one thing. All right. There is, okay, I'll give you two examples. Bob Marley said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Proto J says, people have freedom of speech. He rather have freedom of thought. Right? And so it's like, we can have all these freedoms and be able to do all these things that our foreparents could not have done or could not do or whatever. But in real life, if we actually still have not freed our minds, it really don't make no difference whether we live to see 60 or 100. You know what I mean? Because guess what? You're still not going to be actually fulfilling the essence. All right, you are a parent right now, and you are responsible to bring up a next generation of people into our society. And our meaning into our Jamaican or American, whatever society, British society, right?
The world,
And you don't even have your head wrap around the fact that you can embrace what you see in the mirror and love it for what it is. And
but think about it, Martin.
Responsibility.
But you're talking about millions of people. You're talking about billions of people who currently exist and who have already lived and died. That's why I'm saying history is so sensitive. So where it's sensitive, bro, it's sensitive. My grandfather was an extremely intelligent man. His father was biracial. He was mixed race.
My grandfather was extremely fertile. I'm sorry, go ahead.
My grandfather was an extremely respectful Jamaican man that didn't create that legacy of just breeding up the whole place. That's what I'm saying. Everyone has different stories, and we have to respect our people.
No,
we have to respect our ancestors, basically. So basically, my grandfather had a mix of siblings. Some were light and some were dark, and he was one of the darker ones. And so he wasn't allowed to study past a certain level. He could not go to school past a certain age. They're like, no, you cannot be a doctor. You're dark. You're going to have to go do something else. So his lighter brothers were sent to go, you get what I'm saying? To go and be doctors and this and that. Now, the reason why I mention this, the Queen ran Jamaica at that time, okay? It would have been like, my grandfather was very proud of his complexion. My grandmother is biracial. So when she had her dark-skinned children, she tried to be like, lick a black, lick a gal. You know what I'm talking about. And my grandfather had to say to my grandmother, and I give thanks and praises to this day that he did it, even though I wasn't alive yet. No, that is not going to happen in this house. Now, that wasn't the case for every Jamaican house. Even to this day, people are allowing people to talk to their siblings and lick a black gal, this, that, or whatever. No, my grandmother, she was mixed race. I don't know why she wanted to talk about her children that way, but she did. So he obviously had a certain level of black consciousness, which wasn't normal for people of that age. Mm-hmm. But his society, his family, his community, they weren't giving him any input that would let him know to be black is something good. Do you get what I'm saying? Where would he have got that from? But yes. Even though he had it within him to say, don't call my picture them black, like it's a derogatory thing, but that was now for his children, new generation. So that's why I respect history. We don't just all get to experience it. Some people go through slavery. Some people go through the hard work. Some people now get to go to school. You get me? Next generation. My mom's been in school. You know, the generation where the parents have been to university. It's time periods. And fortunately, where we are, I think, as crazy as things are, we are lucky.
But at the same time, though, I think if you have not actually, you can go to university and you're still a mental slave.
But the thing is, you cannot go to university. And here's the thing, mental slave is going to be different things to different people, right? Okay. So you know that saying, people go to university and don't have no sense, or people can be bright and don't have no common sense, which I was talking about with Pi the other day. But who's to say basically what makes someone a mental slave? Like your perception of mental slavery might be different.
Let me clarify. You can go to university as a black person and still come out and think there's something wrong with your complexion and still teach your picnic them the same thing.
Well, university isn't the school of self-love. You didn't go and do a degree in blackology or self-love.
But to the point though, Lenea, is that the fact that they can come out educated, but the way that they raise the children is no different than somebody who is in wherever bleaching them face with whatever they do for a living.
But I don't see the surprise in that, because the university is an apex educational environment that belongs to a colonial system. University is colonial by default in the Western world. So if you're going to the highest level of study from what the white man says you should learn, how holistic is it going to be? Like, I've been to university, right? And it was great, like what I learned, and I was fortunate. I had a lot of black lecturers, which apparently was rare, right? But there were certain esteems that I had about myself that when I left university, I was mashed up. I had to fix myself back up. So it's clearly not an institution that supports someone in holistic wellness. That's why it's a degree. You're going to get 360 degrees on that subject, but not on your identity.
The point though was, you know, or us or parents or kids being able to be parented by a university graduate from a black perspective might not mean anything at all. In the sense that if you have not accepted what you need to accept and have identified who you truly are and actually love yourself and your people, it won't make a difference from a black perspective how you raise your children.
Yeah, academically, well, it will still make a difference, because
mind you, academically, absolutely.
Academics don't have anything to do with self-esteem. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay,
and
academics
so if someone goes to university, whatever they studied, it doesn't lead or lean to them being somehow more proficient as a parent in any way.
It was
Yeah, like
It
no,
was
it doesn't. No,
All right, let's do
no.
this, Lenea. Let's do this. Before I read the poem I want to read and have you read the poem you want to read, and
Oh
this is
yeah.
probably going to be my longest show in history, but I think the fans are.
Yes, let's get it. That
I
is
think the
dope.
viewers are enjoying it. I'm enjoying it, so I'm just going to roll with it.
Thank
Um,
you. I'm
is
enjoying it too.
before I read, is there anything else that you actually, because I have a couple questions I skipped. You know what I mean? You have
Oh,
open
did you?
businesses. You
Okay,
have
cool.
open businesses. You know what I mean? You're an entrepreneur. The golden ass temple, all these things. So I'm
The
gonna give you an
Golden
opportunity.
Arts Temple. Did you
I
just
said
call my
art.
business the Golden Arts Temple?
I said, what did I say? I said
Golden Arts.
the goddess art temple is what I
Okay,
said. And
okay.
if I said anything that didn't sound like that, I take it back.
Because if it was called the Golden Arts, that would be a whole next business,
All
bro.
right. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that.
That was intermission, people. You get your popcorn or your
Okay,
mannish water. All right, we're back now. So
so there is something I do want to say. Thank you,
yes, please, my
actually.
dear.
Yeah, it's a pleasure speaking with you like this. We've got a great banter going on. So obviously I've just come and spoken about what I do. But actually, I do want to just be clear to the audience. So I am the founder of the Goddess Art Temple. And within the Goddess Art Temple, we run 3 academies. So we have the Tarot Academy, the Ether Academy, and the Smile Yoga Academy. So in all academies, you can get the services and you can be trained. For example, in the Tarot Academy, I do tarot readings for people, but I also teach people how to read the cards. You get what I'm saying? So you get both. And I've recently opened a tarot reading subscription box. I think it's like $15 US a month. So
Mhm.
basically, if you purchase this box, then every month I will send you like 4 or 5 collective readings. Okay. Now, in the Smile Yoga Academy, we have an online yoga studio. So I teach yoga every Saturday, but I also have like a Netflix type of studio where you can log in, you can access the classes in your own time, which is great for parents, you know. But I also teach people I train people into teacher training, into teacher certification. So we do have teachers who are trained with me.
Mhm.
And then lastly, in the Ether Academy, we provide traditional healing, a whole range of it. It always starts off with a divination, but we also have an academy where people can start to learn about Ether, because I'm all about sharing knowledge, right? So I can't just be doing something cool and then being like this. So people do train with the Ether Academy to learn about traditional Yoruba spirituality, to learn about who they are within this context, and also self-care. And then separate to that, we've got the books, which you already mentioned. I have a line of clothes called Goddess Wear. So if you go on my website, I'm about to change one of the lines because I've got a new logo. So it's everyday wear for women. So like sweaters, you know, ties, tops, bags, that kind of thing. And lastly is my music. So as I've culminated all of my art, I sometimes feel uncomfortable if I'm not doing music. I feel like I'm abusing myself. So it's like, no, I'm not joking. So it's like, I can teach the yoga, I can do the tarot readings, as long as I'm still recording and putting music out, etc. So yeah, that's over all on my website as well.
Yeah. I was jamming my daughter jamming to the album earlier. We had an appointment, we were rolling to it. Anyways, so
Oh, wait. Stick a pin. I do have to say this one thing.
okay.
So the CD that you've got is a mixtape,
Mhm.
and it's actually a university project. So even though people are still buying it, it wasn't like, oh, this is a real song. It was a project that I did at school, and someone invited me to a show and asked me if I could burn off some of my songs to sell, and that is what led to that. So the new music that I have coming out this year is like my first pre-planned project. Yeah, it's just been crazy.
Now I'm looking forward to it. And like you don't know, next time we're up on the island, we link up like we do and do what we
Yes, it
do.
was lovely last time, I
I
must
know,
say.
right?
Yeah,
I
it really
know, right? All right, so check this
was.
out. Check this out, peoples. If you joined late, I see author, pastor, singer Tamela. I hope I'm saying that right. I hate butchering people's names. And if you join later in the show, bless up yourself. Thanks for joining. If you're joining via YouTube, WhatsApp, YouTube, Facebook, Mr. WhatsApp, what a brother serious.
Imagine that.
Appreciate you joining, and thanks for joining. So my guest tonight, Lenea, the goddess, she has a book, you know what I mean? Like we mentioned, and it is called In Honor of Me. I think I got mine on Amazon. A collection of poetry and songs by Lenea. So I was checking out the book, you know what I mean? I was going to have you on. I went and got it off the bookshelf and said, let me scope it out. And before I even ask you what you're going to read, I'm going to browse this real quick and bear with us, folks. It's a long show. I thank y'all for sticking in. The people in Jamaica, news supposed to done now. You can't come back to the show because everybody drop off 7 o'clock because they have to go watch news. I love news, so anywho.
And the news are depressing.
And the news are depressing, right? The one I'm going to read is called Artist's Lament. Now, I read Artist's Lament, and I can tell that this is one of them that you made into a song as well.
No, actually.
No.
Well,
never make me know a song myself. Never make me know a song myself. I appreciate you still being there, Sunshine Shady. Well, you know what? You still have to do this lady reading, you know.
No, I am definitely. If anyone wants a demonstration of what I'm doing, at the end, we'll let you know. Mm-hmm. Say that you want it, and I'll draw one card for everyone who says they want one. Definitely.
All right, fine. We're gonna do it. So stay tuned. So, Artist Lament in the book is page 94. I don't know who else had the book, but it's still available on Amazon. I'm sure Indian has it somewhere. Check it out. So I'm going to try to do my best with this. I usually read my own poetry. I'm reading your poetry now, but I like it. So it says, Artist Lament. Gather myself. Okay. It says, some say we don't charge. Others say we don't pay. Some say it's time to fly. Others say call it a day. Most want your art for free. I'm a brother, I'm a mother, I'm a friend. I got a link. Most don't take the time to think. They ask, how dare you charge me? You must be deluded to think you could be worth more than a post-song applause. It's exposure. It's a platform. Mantras of exploitation. In creative industries, this is the norm. Everyone has more insight into you and who you could be, should be, would be. If you only stop needing your soul to be free. Some say God told them, go to her, she will help you succeed. Forgetting I may have a need. They say their Messiah and prophets will bless me. It's a small favor. We want your flavor. You're so talented. Just for an hour. On a big stage or a small pub in London. No pay, but you can drink your standards away. And when I decline, they reveal their bad minds. Ready to smell me out like their bad attitudes. Rudeness spreading. You must do this for your nation. But what about my baby's dinner? You must do this for your people. But what about my rent? You must do this for humanity. But what about my happiness? You must do this for me. But what about my dreams? You should be grateful people even want to listen to you. There are many of you all over the place. This is exposure. This is a platform. This is a chance for people to see your face. So shut up and put up. You're almost a screw up. Now pay me and take your career. Now pay me to take your career to the next level. Believe in my hype and my polished facade. Please, sis, do it for free. Open your soul and let your colors flow on me. Let me hear your heavenly tones, your poems about your joys and your woes. Let me indulge with no commitment to compensate your bravery financially. Let me tap your creativity from the back, then leave you with your expressions hanging off your ankles. That sounds like rape.
The
Give me
backside.
that juicy, well marinated creativity. Let me vampirously feast on your essence, and I will suck you dry, leave you in a stupor opposite to the centered state I met you in. Some say we don't charge, others say we don't pay. Some say it's time to fly, others say call it a day. Most want your art for free. I'm your brother, I'm your mother, I'm your friend, I got a link. Most don't take time to think. Artist lament. Ay, 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 like Louis Bennett. Want to take this thing back?
Backside. I forgot to try to write one Louise Bennett style poem. I've never heard someone read that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you so much.
yes.
Yeah.
I was very excited to read that. That was good. That was good.
Very good.
That captured a lot of what people got through. That reminds me, Protege have a tune called 8-Year Affair. And that reminds me, it just talks about, you don't know what it is to be a legend. What is it to be a legend? I'm in the studio every day. I'm coming up with new ideas. And when you get it, you don't even want to buy the authentic CD you want to go buy from the CD man down the road. It really don't affect me.
Right?
You know what I mean? Here I am, an artist. I'm talented. You love my talent. You want my talent and you want it for free. You don't even want to go into Fontana or upon Amazon and buy a book for yourself. But somehow you want me to represent you somewhere or represent your interest somewhere so that you can get what you can get from me. But you don't. If I ask you if you have a book, you don't have a book. Lila Ike has a song, one of her songs, and at the end of the song, there's like, you can hear like people talking in the background, and it's the same thing all over. Where somebody else say, yo, artist, give me a thing now. Like, want to take this thing for? There's a lot of people out there, Lenea, that has never created from scratch anything in their life. They have jobs, they have good jobs, but their job has never required them to actually create something from scratch. And sometimes they take it for joke because they see you do it and it look good and thing. Go sit down with pen and paper and try to create something from scratch and make it sound good to the point that somebody will actually go out there and buy it. And see if it's easy or if it's simple. Sit down with the guitar or whatever and write music and you know, a lot of people make it look easy, but here's the thing, friend, until you've actually attempted it and successfully computed it, you ain't time to sit my cup. Anyway, that was what I meant. My guest tonight is Lenea.
So you followed the lament with a lament. That's so funny.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I had to there. It just flowed. So what are you going to read for us, my dear?
Okay, so I'm going to read. It's so weird because I said I was going to read one thing and now I'm trying to read something else.
My girl, nobody mix up a thing, you know. But anyway,
I'm like, oh no, I should have never told him.
No, go ahead. Do you think?
I'm going to read. I want to read, just so you know, I want to read Identity.
Okay.
I think that would go quite. But Original Woman can work too. It's quite
cultural.
No, hey,
Mike. I'm good at what I do. You do what you do, and I'll make it work.
All right, cool. All right, so it's so funny because Identity is actually after Original Woman in this book. Okay. Identity. So this is the first poem that I wrote, I think, for this book. I wrote this when I was 16. Very short. 1998. I'm not a Negro anymore. I never was. I'm not Black anymore. I never have been. Negro is Black. El Español. And the word black only referred to me since I was in captivity. I'm surely not a nigger because I have the sense to understand that I'm not even English, though I was born in England. Not born in the motherland, but they say I'm African. Not born in Jamaica, but they say I'm Jamaican. My ancestors were the Nubians, now they say I'm Nubian. A descendant of the Olmecs and the ancient Egyptians. Yes, me gifted more than those who have all the talk, because all over this world my feet have walked. It's good to know what identity is really worth. I am original, indigenous to this entire earth, and yes, that's who I am. But the real question is, who are you? That's my bad girl poem.
Empty the magazine. Empty the magazine. Yo. Okay, so yeah, I like that one.
Thank
I like
you.
that one. I like it. So tell me now, what my book there? You know, me dash your book and I can't reach it though.
Oh
Anyway,
gosh, the question book.
we get excited. We get excited. Now,
I don't know. I wanted to read that because of everything that we had spoken about.
no, I feel you. No, what was the inspiration? What was the inspiration behind that? What happened go for?
Yeah, so I was studying drama in college, and I was asked to perform for Black History Month. I never forget it. And I was like, all right then. And I wrote that poem. So I think that's the only poem that I have, or even a song where I can say, I wrote this for this specific event. So it was Black History, so that's what I had to say.
No,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. Now, the poem kind of captures the complexity, the complex nature of the Black man. Like there are lines in there that reference, either I'm born in England, I'm not really English. I wasn't born in Jamaica, and yet I'm Jamaican. You know what I mean? And I'm still African. Like, what am I? Who am I? And this ties in with kind of what we were talking about before. Do you think the complex nature of our identity as individuals, as a Black people, do you think this is the way? Do you think this would have played out another way had we somehow managed to tether ourselves longer to who we really are and where we're actually from?
That's quite a charged question, because I think because of oh my gosh, your audience is asking how come I'm not reading one of your poems. Sorry.
Somebody left their book at England. I apologize, and I gave
That's
her
what
the
happened.
option. I gave her the option.
I thought you were gonna email it to me or something.
Listen here, Miss.
Wait, you can email me something now. I think you should email me that one that you started with the lion in the mirror, like when you see yourself.
Oh, the one I read to you?
Yeah, because I was thinking, I could have read that.
Well, answer the question, and I'll see if I can send you something.
Okay, so if people held on to their identity, so I don't know what could have happened to change the course of history, because what we're actually talking about are people who are estranged from themselves because they've become estranged to their original cultures. That's all. And so without that, unless that story is changed, then I can't really say. That's why I'm so empathetic to people. Like, okay, you're bleaching. Okay, but was your mom bleaching? Is that acceptable in your community?
Is that what your normal looks like?
Yeah, like, so how can I just be like so judgy without having that consideration to say the person's culture is X, Y, Z? So I would say
let's do this. Here's what I'm going to do. Send
it to me, yeah?
No, here's what I'm going to do. I'm attaching something.
Oh my God.
Okay. And no, but I can't see what I'm attaching.
Okay, cool.
When I go to attach, I can see the poems I have on my phone, but I can't tell which one I sent you. So whichever one you get, that's going to be the one you have to read.
I hope it's a sexy one. Like, seeing it is going to be. Because there's the other thing about me, like, because I'm so creative and I'm always caught up in what I'm creating or what I'm teaching, I don't really get to like just share that part of me that's really just more sensuality and more intimacy. And that's actually a really big thing to me. But people don't tend to
get that part.
get that.
They get the artist.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you're so mysterious. I'm like, it's my sexual energy, dude. Like, that's my sexual energy.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got it now.
Lord God, what you get?
Let's see.
I literally selected on a poem and I don't know which poem it is. What you get?
Backside, your boss today.
What did you get?
Give me some moment to build up the suspense.
You know, what's his name? Wait.
I'm holding out on purpose. He's like, tell me now. I'm like,
no, because
I
hope, you know what I mean? Some poems that I wrote are not for, you know what I mean? It's like
I love this. I just wish that this was a personal serenade that you were sending to me. That's all.
Okay. We wish it was a personal serenade. All right, folks. So hang on before you read.
Not that I want you to send me a personal serenade because I know you're married, but you know, it would have been nice to have been really receiving whatever this poem is saying.
There. Okay, so time out here. Let's do this for the folks that are still on and the folks that will join later. Thank you for bearing with us on the Evening People Show. This is our longest show so far. I'm here with Lenea, the goddess. I was not going to have somebody named Lenea, the goddess, on, and we don't make sure we go through all the motions that there are to go through. Okay. We were planning to read poems from her book, which we did. We said, you know, we realized that some of y'all, rightly so, when you watch the Evening People Show, you expect to see or hear poems read from my book. Now, the poem I sent her, I actually don't know if the poem is in the book. It's one of mine, but I don't know if it's in the book. If it's not in the book, it's something that I wrote that is not yet published, and y'all going to potentially get a sneak peek on it. Dear Lord Jesus, as this lady is about to read, I hope the poem I sent her is not a poem I did not want to send her because I don't know the poem I sent her. So yes, whenever you're ready, my dear, go for it.
Her Modesty.
Oh my God! No, wait.
What do you mean, wait?
No, okay. Her Modesty. No, I remember Her Modesty. And Her Modesty,
okay.
You know what, Lenea? You know what? You are giving the viewers a treat today. Because Her Modesty, in my opinion, is a poem that you should not be privy to unless you buy the book. And that's just the truth.
Oh, wow.
No, and you're fine. We're going to do it.
Okay.
I think Her Modesty is a brilliant poem. I remember Her Modesty because I write stuff I don't remember, but I remember Her Modesty.
You remember it. I remember all my poems in my book.
Do it. Okay.
Give
Her Modesty a roll and let's see what I can come up with on the fly.
And it looks like maybe, Her Modesty, The Chronicles of the Modern Man, Book 1, the 18th of March, 2019. Hold on.
Take your time, boo.
Her Modesty is refreshing. It reminds me of a time when men and women would dine. Picnics. Oh no, let me go back. Sorry, I can't see it properly. So I want to start all again. Cool.
Take your time.
Her Modesty, The Chronicles of the Modern Man, Book 1. Her modesty is refreshing. It reminds me of a time when men and women would wine and dine. Intellect and wit were the order of the day. Picnics, daytime visits, no overnight stay. Her modesty is inviting. The intrigue leaves you wanting more. Interestingly conversing, never a bore. It's like a book that needs a part 2, teaching you things you never knew. Her modesty intoxicates, like inhaling a fragrance and closing your eyes. The sweet scent resonates. It lingers in the mind. It wraps itself around you like the morning sun, reminding you of the place where love began. Her modesty is sexy. She covers up what others reveal. Her subtlety ignites her appeal. The lure of not knowing what lies beneath. Imagination overload. Her and I beneath the sheet. Her modesty is exciting. It leaves room for us to grow. The best kept secret nobody knows. Her hidden treasure no one else sees. The part of herself she reserves just for me.
True ear, Buster Black.
So you go talk about the woman's business at the end of your poem.
Do you see what I mean, though? Do you see what I mean? You think nobody else supposed to hear? You think nobody else supposed to hear them on there for free just so? God, them sit on a Wi-Fi in them yard? Come on now.
That is funny.
Yeah, her modesty. All right, folks, that was her modesty. You know what I mean? Come on.
Lovely.
Okay, so here's what I want you to do for me. Here's what I want you to do for me, my dear. Here's what I want you to do for me. You still have it up?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want y'all to pay attention to the progression of the poem. I want you to only read the lines in the poem that starts off with her modesty is. So go to read the poem again, but only read the line that says her modesty is. And y'all watch the progression to see what we're working with here. Go ahead.
Her modesty is refreshing. Her modesty is inviting. Her modesty intoxicates. Her modesty is sexy. Her modesty is exciting.
You understand? So it's like we're talking about a female, and it's a modest female. It's someone that is not overtly seeking, you know what I mean? But within her modesty, it captures. Her modesty is inviting. Her modesty is sexy. Her modesty is exciting. So it's almost like there's an evolution. It's like, look at her. You know what I mean? There's an evolution. So it's like she is in a very subtle way, revealing herself. Not overt, subtle. And
Did you hear that, ladies? Did you hear that, ladies? Take notes. Not overt, subtle. I swear, like I heard 1,000 things. I think that's a guidance that you give people sometimes. Yeah. Don't it? No, like not overt, subtle.
I've never said that before in my life, but it was applicable. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's how it comes up. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not overt. It's subtle. It's like, you know I'm sexy, but I'm not gonna wear these tights that reveals everything. I'm gonna work out, but what I'm going to work out in is going to be not that tights that hugs all my curves. It's gonna be that tights that I have to wear because I'm working out, but it's subtle.
You're kidding me here. You are.
You know what I mean?
Me.
No,
that is not a good example.
All right. No, I'm telling you.
Could have got it. It's just like.
No, my God. Okay, so here's. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I apologize.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying it's.
I was gonna say because I'm pro-woman, so that doesn't mean I'm anti-man. I'm pro-man too, but it's just like it really sounds like not only something that you would desire in a partner, but it almost sounds like something you're gonna tell your daughter, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, modesty. It's not for everyone. Some people, and we have to be okay with that. We have to be okay with that.
You can stop before you reach the last stanza. Like I said, it's an evolution. The poem represents an evolution. It goes through different stages of subtlety or modesty, and it evolves into modesty actually being. I think the last mention of her modesty says her modesty is sexy. You know what I mean?
No, the last one.
It's exciting.
Modesty is exciting. Yeah.
Right. And there's one before that says sexy, it's exciting. So yeah, it's an evolution of modesty in all its forms. That was a good one. And I hope you all enjoyed that book. My next book is coming out soon enough whenever I get some time on my hands. And that's definitely one of them that made the draft. Sunshine Sandy is saying modesty is doing without overdoing. Exactly.
Without overdoing it, yeah.
Exactly.
It's doing without overdoing. Oh, I get that. So it's doing, but without,
Yeah. So
yeah.
it's
So it's
not wearing.
basically it's V-neck over a plunging neckline. So I keep
Yes.
equating it to clothes for some
No, that's
reason.
what I'm
But it's,
saying.
yeah,
It,
yeah. It's a
you know
V-neck
what I
over
mean?
a deep plunge like
It's
neckline.
the freakum dress that's above the knee, but it's not all the way up to the, you know what I mean, where you can't
Under the
sit down in it.
bottom.
It's not all the way up. So when you sit down, you flash everybody whether you want to or not. It's not that one.
Oh my God. You are so traditional. You're giving me joke.
I'll
You're
give
giving
you
me
the
joke.
Kurt, really. All right, people.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, thank y'all for sticking with us for 2 hours. We've hit the 2 hour mark. This is a record for us, folks. Lenea, the
Yay!
goddess, has kept y'all entertained for 2 hours. Now, Lenea, I'm going to ask you, my dear, before we jump off. I think tours is well and good. Anything else you want to share with our viewers before we call this a wrap?
Okay, so thank you all so much for tuning in. It's just been a nice conversation. I haven't done a conversation like this before, and I appreciate you guys actually. I've just dropped my link in the chat, and that's for my YouTube. I actually have two. Let me drop the other one. So if you guys are more interested in music, for example, go to the first one. The second one is for all of my mystic stuff. Okay, so that's the Goddess Art Temple. And if there's anything that I brought up and you just want to reach out and just be like, hey, like I kind of resonated or didn't resonate, I'm very open. You can holler at me. And lastly, I would like to say thanks for my people as well, like Pi Dailies in London. So it must be like 2 a.m. You get what I'm saying? So it's
Yes, it
nice.
is. It is about 2 a.m. in
Yeah.
London.
So thank you. And lastly, I would like to say thank you so much to Martin. I had a crush on your little brother when I was in high school.
Yeah, he just has those
Yeah.
eyes, doesn't he? I can't
The
stand him.
eyes. We all were like
He's so
the
bloody
drop
good
panty
looking. I
fit.
can't stand him.
We would be like little young girls being like drop panty fit that boy there,
No,
Even though we would
my little brother
never.
is annoyingly good looking. Very annoyingly good looking, I must say.
Why
Yeah, that was
sweet?
me. And I'm
Right?
okay. He's annoyingly good looking.
But the truth is,
Annoyingly.
you are also like
I'm
outstandingly
okay looking.
beautiful.
He's
Let me
very good
talk.
looking and it's
Irmasa na
annoying.
Martin Irmasa. You
Pepper.
are also outstandingly beautiful. You just don't have the same eyes. But it's not like there's a tree growing in your
His
face.
eyes are red though. I can't stand him.
You sound like really, really upset. But don't be. Something else. You must have got something else to like email your friend and say, Papa Jesus. Your friend's like, so I say the jealous of Marvel all this time. So what I was saying, because having that high school experience, I think if anyone asks me to do something and if I'm Manchester, if I'm Mandeville, that I connect to my childhood, I just feel like, okay, you must be doing something good. So thank you. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate, my dear. And I appreciate you. Thanks for coming by. This was a good show. I wanted us to we covered everything I wanted to cover. I'm gonna have you back. There's certain things I wanted us to get into that we actually did not get into.
Yes, that's true. But we did really beat out some topics though.
I will have you back in the show. Maybe when I'm in Jamaica, I'll do it live from Jamaica. Oh, you know what? Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Realized you forgot.
I forgot. I had forgotten. Okay, so
give me 1 second. You
need us. Okay, so I'm gonna take you off screen when you're ready. Let me know. All right, people. So, thank y'all for sticking with us. Like I said, this is the Evelyn People Show. My guest is Lenea, the goddess. And if you watch the entire show, you realize that she had some really, really interesting perspectives that she shared on so many things. And I can appreciate stuff like that in the sense that, you have, I believe that, Africans, we're Africans, we're Black people. And there's so much about our personality that we don't embrace, and we need to embrace because it is what makes us who we really are. Lenea is one of those people, like Maharai, who I had on the show earlier, and I need to introduce those two people because I think they go great together. that has embraced it, you know what I mean, that has taken time to learn things that our ancestors did, things that were part of what normal was for our people at another time in history. And she said she was going to do a reading, or who was it that wanted a reading? It was Sunshine Sandy that wanted a reading. So I'm just letting Lenea get herself together, holding her vibes, getting her zen. I don't know what gets her going. Maybe she have to light up something and take two big bad jaw fight. I don't know. But Lenea, you ready? If you're ready, give me the thumbs up, my dear. You ready? I think I saw a thumb. So
I was actually not going to do a reading. I was just going to draw one card. My readings usually have like 20 cards. You get what I'm saying?
No, you
not
good?
Doing that.
Well, tell us what we're doing so we can appreciate and understand it.
Okay, so I'm going to draw one card for whoever wants it. So all you need to do is comment below. Even if you had already said, yeah, I would like that. Now that I've completed what I said, you might have changed your mind. You get what I'm saying? So just comment below and let me know if you're interested.
All right. Basically,
and I'm not selling anything.
Sunshine Sandy, what she's saying is, if you still down, say you're still down. All right. And she said me. She said it was her. You're still down. You still want you're still good to go. Does she need to confirm?
Let me see.
Yeah, she said yes.
Okay, cool. And Pi Day says, you two really bounce off one another. Such a lovely show. Thank you.
Such a lovely show.
I know. He's got the star sign of my granddad. So I feel quite nice in his company.
You say I have the star sign of your granddad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aquarius. Okay. Oh, I'm into astrology as well. That's one thing I never mentioned. I eat astrology for breakfast.
Should I get my drums and do drum roll?
No, you don't need a drum roll for that. Okay, so it's Sandy. So Pi, you don't want no card. So what about Pi? I'm shocked. That's the first time I've ever offered to do a read, and Pi hasn't said anything. Okay, let's see. So we're gonna ask for one card for Sandy. Dun, 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 dun. I've gone for my black deck. I don't know if you're black, but I've just gone for it because I can relate to it.
She's black.
Okay, cool. Why, Missy?
She a browning, but she black.
Yeah, man. Them I thought about brown, my nose and my black. Joe, let me stop that. Okay, so Sandy. Okay, this is gonna be interesting. It's just one card. It's not gonna be anything too deep. Oh, Pi Daily is saying she wants one now because I was wondering. What's really interesting about this card that has come up for you is that it already came up. So earlier on in today's session, Sandy, I had showed you a card and I had said, this is really strange. I had said that if this card comes up, then you probably need to stand your ground when it comes to something. I can't find it. It's in this deck. But basically, it looks like this in this deck. See if I can get the visuals to come up. Okay. And what it is showing a young person creating boundaries between them and somebody else. And what the somebody else represents is some negative energy. So what this could be a person, it could be a situation. It's something that's asking you to say, hold on, back up. Now, if there's not a situation in your life where you feel like you have to hold your ground, you have to have some boundaries, you have to stand up for yourself, this can be speaking to you having too much of that attitude. You get what I'm saying? So if there's not a situation where, okay, I know what she's talking about. Yeah, I'm having to hold my ground and stand up for myself. If that's not there, this can speak of a developed personality where the person is just defensive for no reason. You know, some people like, no, I'm not want that. No, I'm not. Why? But I feel like it is more so linked to you having to protect yourself from the unknown. So that's things you don't know that you're like, I might not know, but my vibe says back up. So you can let me know, because I know for a fact, I don't ask people, does that mean something to you? I know it means something to you. Do you get what I'm saying? So you can just let me know, Sandy, if it's your personality that you need to kind of soften because you've become a bit too defensive, or is it a thing where you're having to be like, look, this is my line, don't cross it. Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna do one for Pi Daily now.
And we have one more. After
Okay,
that.
who's that? Who's that one?
That is Tanasha Nemha. That's my Speedy Gonzalez in a wheelchair friend.
I lie. Yeah, man. Okay, so she's on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Is she on? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we have Facebook and YouTube viewers.
Okay, reading for Anne. One card. Give thanks.
This is Pi Daily we're doing now, right?
Pi Daily. Yes, sorry, her name's Anne. So Pi Daily, I need you to stop doing that. Watch how I'm going to read for Anne. Pi Daily, I need you to stop doing that thing that you're doing. You know that you're set up, you know that you're on course, and you have success written all over you. You know that your goal is within reach, and you know that you'll be victorious. But you allow yourself to sink into your emotional unsurety too often for my liking. So this is saying the reason why you're not sure, the reason why you feel unsure is because you're not trusting what you know. You don't need to be intuitive about your goals. You need to write them down and have them as solid structures that you can become aligned with. There is nothing for you to be unsure about. Do you understand what I'm saying, Pi Daily? There is nothing for you to be, I don't know. What is that? Because this is what I'm seeing, success. So just keep going in the direction of practical actions. Every time you find yourself overthinking, doubting yourself, God does something. You understand? God does something physically with your and them. Amen. All right, that's that one.
All right. Well, the feedback we have so far, Sunshine Sandy is saying she thanks, she appreciated it. She definitely appreciated that. My good Speedy Gonzalez friend, she's saying she don't have no sound. Everybody else have sound, miss.
And she don't have none?
She will hear, no worry. Where she there? Hold on.
Did you play it back or something? Maybe when you play it back?
Though she had sound all along, but she always don't have no sound, no minor. But there she is. That's the national name hard 7. Or okay. Simon, as the people say.
I'm just starting to feel hungry all of a sudden, and this is what the readings do to me, by the way, because I wasn't hungry until I started reading. So when I was doing the live streams and doing all the readings, my followers will know, like, if I say I'm hungry, live is gonna done, because after a certain amount of reading, it's like the energy is coming from my stomach and it just nyam up the food.
Well, we don't have much further to go, my dear. Anytime you feel a vibe back, we know how we chop you off.
No, that's fine. I said, is it Tanasha? Is that the last person?
I think so. Tanasha is there. I have some new comments. Let me see here. Tanasha is hearing now, so that's good.
Excellent.
Yeah. You're definitely. I think she's saying you're definitely on the point. I saw something from Maxiki. She's saying, "Oh, she said I don't need a card. Wanna leave me alone, Nacho?"
No, make him go on, man. I don't need a card right now. We could always, if I was really doing that, I'll just say, let me just talk to you after.
Yes,
if I had to do
be after. I'm an off the ear kind of guy.
Because suppose him I do something when not supposed to I do, and then
no,
me I got the whole business.
You know what? See that only 9 viewers left. I'll take my reading next.
No, sir. So what's this changing mind? Were you coming like, you think you're a yo-yo up and down? Let's go with the lady. Let me read for her. What's her name? Sorry?
Tanasha.
All right, give thanks and praise. I asked for one card for Tanasha.
Yeah, her card's up there. Look on the screen.
Okay, Tanasha, this is talking about your security. It could be talking about your emotional, like your self-esteem. Okay, but it feels more so that it's talking about the steps that you're taking to becoming financially stable. This could also be an energy of singledom, you know, like say if you've come out of a relationship and now you're single, and that could affect what work you have to do. But it feels more so that this is about you being able to come into financial stability so you can have some type of harvest come through, profit. So what this is showing is a man chopping 9 pumpkins, and every pumpkin, when he chops it, there's gold inside, because something to do with how he planted the pumpkin. I know it's magic, it's not real, right? But something to do with how he planted the pumpkin means that when he cuts the pumpkin, the golden inside. Now, pumpkin is already abundance, and 9 pumpkins is already abundance. So 9 pumpkins with gold inside, that's talking about one of the highest levels of personal security and stability that someone can have. Now, I'm seeing that you might be hesitant about developing whatever this stability, this security. There might be some type of hesitance. It's like, it's the most unwilling energy that could be in this deck. Like, but the guidance, the energy, the focus is everyone needs to have their, what's that saying, their ko and their go. If, for example, everyone needs to have their one pona, this and that. Everyone needs to have their independence. That's what it is. It's independence. And the way it turns up emotionally is everyone needs to be feeling emotionally secure. Do you get what I'm saying? And the way it turns up in terms of vulnerability is everybody needs to be safe, because this is about being safe. Like 9 of Pentacles means if I am in a relationship and I'm sharing the bills with my boo and my boo passes away or anything unexpected, you know what I mean? I have the ability to maintain myself regardless of whether someone is in my life or not. So it is something that even if you're unwilling, my girl, Tamisha, yeah, you should, Tanasha, sorry, you should understand that there's something waiting for you. It's looking like a payoff or a house or security of some financial sort, but it's not going to come to you. Don't fear it. Just take your time and walk towards it, because when it comes to destiny, if you're supposed to learn something or do something in this life and you don't, you're going to come back and learn it anyway, and that's boring. No one wants to be coming back to earth over and over to keep learning the same dry lesson. Do you get what I'm saying? That they could have learned 2 centuries ago. So don't fear it, even if it seems like it's something that feels like it's bigger than you. Whatever it is, there's harvest ahead of you, but you have to sow the seeds to reap the harvest.
Amen to that. All right, so the verdict now is
that Martin's getting his reading.
Am I or not? Like, you know, I'm not really pressed.
Why is Sandy calling in about read him?
You know, I mean, if we have the time, you know, I mean, I understand if we don't have enough time.
I want to do it.
I take my reading off the air. I take my reading tomorrow, next week. Let's take a date for the next 10 years, you know, reunion or something.
You're funny. You are
all
funny.
Right. Tanasha said thank you. She's been hesitant. Maxi Cable just somehow find something funny, and I won't even ask what. I know a style she has tell me. The New York people, you see.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me get one from Martin.
My girl, if I know somebody you can't step on the ear, just tell them say you're gone here. I'm gonna take you off. All right, we're actually. My girl, guess what? Me have the power to put you on the screen and take you off the screen. Just bear that in mind.
You thanks and praise the house for one card for this. I was gonna say for this dude, but for Martin, one card.
Can I get the drum now?
Figure out from daddy because it's flat on one side. That's interesting that that's come up like that. Is there something that you're holding yourself back from doing? Don't answer, just listen. If there's something that you're holding yourself back from doing, is interesting because that should not be in reverse. So let's just pretend for a moment that it wasn't. There's something that you need to do. It's either a partnership, a creative project, or something you're already doing. Maybe you're already doing it. It could even be this channel, but it's basically representing different forces coming together to birth something. So if it was this channel, you and YouTube birth this show, but it might be like partnerships, creative partnerships, projects with other people. Something isn't starting. It's not this channel. Yeah, it's not this channel. Something is under, when you say ready, steady, go, and you're like, damn, you went off too fast. We have to go back now. So it's like something needs to be initiated or has been, but it's not going quite well. But if it hasn't been, it's saying this thing that you need to get off your hind tail. Sorry. I'm like, which animal has a hind tail though?
I know.
Exactly.
That's improv.
That's improv, but you need to get off come out of inactivity because there is something that requires your interaction. And it's fiery, meaning it requires spark, it requires passion, it requires tenacity, it requires commitment. But what I'm seeing is you kind of holding back. So you're like, oh, I'm just feeling good over here, having another drink. And it's like, dude, that thing needs to be done though. See, let's cheers.
Yeah, I know. I had to. It felt right.
You need to. You're very comfortable emotionally, and sometimes when people aren't as comfortable emotionally, it forces them to create because they have to survive. But because you're so comfortable emotionally, you could run the risk of major opportunities basically just sailing by on that ocean of comfortability. So the guidance is get stuck in. If there's something that you need to be creating, something that you should be, it's about expansion. It's an expansive energy. Whatever that thing is, lyric, video, something to do with your career, building, moving out, whatever it is, the change is required now. And you're not to keep acting like you're so cute and pretty.
I'm going to start crying. Oh my God.
You're not to just be sitting there like, ooh, I'm all that. I don't have to do anything. I'm feeling good.
I never do that. That's never me.
I'm just saying, like, you got to go for it. And what it will bring for you is what my girl, Tanisha, is going to get some of, which is that harvest. That's what's behind it.
Okay.
A payoff.
All right, cool. Somebody inbox me today and say I should model. Maybe I that.
Oh, yes, sir. I think you should.
Let me spit out the drink.
I mean, it doesn't, unless they're offering you a job right now, it didn't feel like the kind of thing like a random thing like that, but who knows?
Yeah, I know.
I think you should model though. Yeah.
I don't know about all that. Anywho, Lenea, the goddess, I appreciate you so much. I appreciate the perspective you bring. I appreciate the way you see things. I appreciate the fact that you've taken time to tether yourself to the things that you have chosen to tether yourself to.
Yeah.
In light of so many of us thinking that being untethered from these things is what's desirable, you've identified that like being tethered to these things is what's actually valuable. This is where the value actually is. You've taken time to study the things you've studied. You've taken time to develop the things you've developed. And I really appreciate it. And I thoroughly enjoyed having you on the show.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best. And the next time I come to Jamaica, I tell you, because we need to link up and we need to do things together.
Yeah, but I want us to like go out of Kingston. I don't want it to watch me planning online. I want us to go to the river or the beach or something.
No, I get a country I come from. You don't even have to talk no talk. You never said it before. Cool. All right, you see, the last time I will put it this way. The last time I came to Jamaica, I will link.
That was amazing.
My girl, but at the airport, where you there? I pick up my rental car right now. Where you there? Right?
That was a great day.
And I left from there, picked you up, pick up our next lady named Zionites. Right?
Yeah.
and we hung out all day, right? That's it. It's not gonna be no different. Don't worry
So when you
about
come
it.
home, because I could really deal with that right now, that
You
kind
know
of
what I mean?
again.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? No, no, my girl, now watch your face. We're gonna make it up. We just make sure, just like me say, anytime you get the link and say, my girl, where there? I roll
Just
me, I
ready.
roll. Just free up it there where I roll. See?
All right then.
All right, my dear, take care and all
And
the
thank
best.
you
Yeah?
so much for having me and for introducing me to your lovely audience. And my Anne is saying she likes you. You're funny. You are quite funny. You're quite engaging. I'm not surprised that we spoke this long because I can see that we could really chat for real.
Talk to yourself. My God.
All right. Later.
Bless up. All right, peoples, that was Lenea the Goddess. I hope you enjoyed the show. I thoroughly enjoyed the show. The only reason I allowed the show to go so long is because I enjoyed the show. The Even People show we run on Saturdays. We meet people, we greet people, we talk, we have fun, we laugh. I just like to reaching out to people who I think are interesting, who have something to share. The goal really being for you at the end of all this to have something to take away that can benefit you. Yes, I do sell some books in the process, but the main point is to give you something you can take away and actually benefit your life positively. If this was your first time viewing the show, you're about to realize that when it comes time to end the show, I just be like this, poof,